Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome to the video. I hope your day is going great. I literally just woke up, checked my phone, and saw that the Shanghai Dragons have released 8 players. Wow, what a massive number. This has to be the most amount of players we'll ever see released from a team, at least in the near future and this season. Obviously, the Shanghai Dragons, they went 0-40 and they had a catastrophe season. We expected something big to happen with the roster, but honestly, I didn't imagine 8 players, and one of them being Addo. Wow, what a star that they just released pretty much for free. I don't feel like his contract just ended either because he was signed in the middle of the season. And most of the other players who were signed in the middle of the season had at least a year-long contract, even some had 2 years, like Fisher. And it turns out, guys, that Addo did in fact get blindsided. They just dropped him in the middle of his contract. He tweeted out, we got his response, and he pretty much seems heartbroken. We'll take a look at that later in the video. So we have massive changes coming to the Shanghai Dragons, and also, not only did they just release their entire roster, basically, they also just released their entire coaching staff, I believe. I'm not sure how many coaches they actually had, but throughout the entire season, they were definitely plagued with coaching issues, and the fact that they just dropped 2 of them and 8 of their players means they are completely rebuilding, guys. So pretty much in this video, we're going to go all around the Shanghai Dragons, talk about the players that were released, the coaches, what is going on with the Shanghai Dragons, where will the players go, do I think they will be able to join other Overwatch League teams? We're going to talk about everything, guys. And then we're also going to be talking about Shanghai Dragons and X6 Gaming, because X6 Gaming did work with the Shanghai Dragons at the end of the season. So if you guys don't remember, the X6 Gaming coaches did come work with Shanghai Dragons. They tried to help them get their first win. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, but they have experience together. This means that Shanghai Dragons maybe would want to bring on X6 Gaming coaches and some of the players. They can definitely afford it, so it's something to talk about, because this would definitely be a power move by Shanghai, and I'll tell you this, they'll win a game if they get X6 Gaming's players next season. There is oh so much to talk about, guys, so let's go ahead and get into it. So if you guys are new around here and you want to stay updated on all Overwatch League news instantly, be sure to subscribe and turn post notifications on so you'll never miss a video. And lastly, be sure, go down below real quick and drop a like. And now let's go ahead and hop into this video. Shanghai. 0-40 in the first season has led them to dropping 8 players. They tweeted this out about 10 minutes ago. The Shanghai Dragons has released Altering, Freefill, 5King, Roshan, Zushu, Addo, Sky, and Damon from their contracts with the team. The entire Shanghai Dragons crew thank you for your dedications and contributions throughout the first season of the Overwatch League. You will always be part of the Dragons family. We wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. Heart. So if you guys didn't catch all the players that were released, again, we have Altering, Freefill, 5King, Roshan, Zushu, Addo, Sky, Damon, and that will leave us with 3 players. We have Dia in the DPS role, Gegurian off-tank role, and Fearless in main tank role. And we'll get back to those 3 players. Let's focus on the 8 that were released first, and we'll start off with the supports first. We have Altering, Freefill, 5King, and Sky. 4 supports were released, and all of the supports were released who, honestly, for Season 1, the Shanghai Dragons, their worst role was definitely their supports. Throughout the season, they definitely did make upgrades throughout most of their roster, but they never really did for supports. Yeah, they picked up Sky in the middle of the season, but he really didn't make that much of an impact, and where they really needed a change was in the Mercy role, and they just never had good Mercy play. And in a season where Mercy was pretty much one of the most important heroes throughout, that was definitely not good. So I'm not surprised that they released any other support players. This makes complete sense. Let's go ahead and move on now and talk a little bit about Roshan in the main tank role. Now, Roshan, he definitely had an interesting season. He died a lot. He sure did die a lot. It's hard to put all the blame on him because he was the guy in a dive meta that just was the person who had to initiate. He had to go in first. He had to try to set up the team fights for his team. And unfortunately, when your team and your support line is just so bad and your DPS really aren't killing anything, and the worst of all, when you don't have an off tank protecting you or matrixing you pretty much ever, you're just going to get focused down and die. I'm pretty sure every single team that went up against the Shanghai Dragons did not plan or anything. They just said, all right, let's go ahead and focus the monkey first and then kill them one by one. We'll just outskill them. We don't need to prepare for them. Let's focus on our second match of the week. And this probably is why the Philadelphia Fusion and some other teams did go to the 5th map against the Shanghai Dragons. I'm sure if every single team prepared for every match against Shanghai in the first season, they would have won like little to no maps. Maybe like one here and there against Florida Mayhem and Dallas Fuel, but like that's still stretching it because Shanghai Dragons, they were so far behind every single team, which does reflect on them releasing these 8 players. So Roshan, maybe he'll get another chance on an Overwatch League team for one of these Chinese teams coming in next season. It's definitely possible because he only played like the first half-ish of the season, and obviously he didn't do good, but again, it wasn't his fault. You can't point at him and say, all right, Shanghai Dragons went 0-20 in the first 2 stages because Roshan. It was more like, oh, Shanghai Dragons had absolutely no support, and Roshan was just forced in to try to make a play every single team fight, and he died because of it. Maybe he's actually good, and he is Chinese. We'll give him a tryout. That's what I think some of the new Chinese Overwatch League teams might say, even though most of them will go for Korean players. Other than that, though, for those 4 support players, those guys, in my opinion, are probably done in the Overwatch League. I could see Sky maybe getting another tryout for a Chinese team, but those first 3, man, they were such a disappointment in the first season. I don't think it really matters that they're going to have the experience. They just did not perform at all. So they're going to be left probably playing in Chinese academy teams or just Chinese contenders teams, which I don't even know if is like a full-time viable thing in China. I know it barely is in America where players are making maybe like 30 to 40K max. I'd say that's probably the average. And then there are those like superstar players who might be making over 50K, like Flower, Who Are You, guys like that who they don't want to give up easily. But that is a topic for another day. Let's go ahead and move on to some of the other players that got released. So now moving on to Zushu from the Shanghai Dragons. He was an off tank and he did play a little bit here and there, not too much though. Because at the beginning of the season, we saw a decent amount of MG in the off tank, and then in the second half of the season, Geguri came in and she obviously took over full time. So Zushu wasn't a guy we got a good look at. I mean, sometimes he looked okay, but there's just not a large sample size of him. I do think he was a little bit better than MG, who was just very lackluster in the off tank role. Sometimes you didn't even think he was in the game, so it wasn't hard for him to do better than MG, but I guess he did. I don't think he would get a trial for another Overwatch League team. I feel like off-tank is a role where most of these Chinese OWL teams will outsource to Korea or even North America. By the way, guys, I know I sound tired and there might be a lot of background noise for this video. I am doing it at my girlfriend's house. I literally just woke up in the middle of my sleep. I got about 4 hours. I saw the news on my phone. I was like, yep, time to get up. Gotta deliver the juice for the boys. Yeah, I do apologize about all the background noise. I know there's some in this video. Might hear some dogs barking. My laptop is just going crazy this morning. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on now and talk about the 2 last players that were just released, and they were Korean. We'll start off with Damon, who honestly I expected to play a little bit better when he got his chances, and that's why he didn't play too much. I really do think at the end of the day, Dia was a better player than Damon, and if I were the Shanghai Dragons, I definitely would have ran him more. I don't know if Damon was nervous about being in the Overwatch League or if it was just hard to work with the Shanghai Dragons, but he didn't perform that well, and it was a little shocking because he was definitely a star player for NRG in the contender scene. Damon's definitely going to get another chance, whether it is with a contenders team in Korea, North America, or an Overwatch League team. He will get tryouts. He has a very good history with Kongdu, and then also he was in the league with Shanghai. It is some experience, even if it didn't go that great. But I'm definitely like not mind blown that Damon did get released. Now moving on to the player where I am most shocked with, and I'm sure you guys are too, we have Ado, who probably was considered one of the best players on that team. I know when I did my rankings for the best player on each team, I did pick Ado, and I do think he shined the most. I feel like he did have the most impact individually. Maybe Dia was the only person who could rival him for that spot, but Ado really did just pop off on that Genji. His tracer was pretty decent too, so he showed strong flexibility and kind of reminded me of a version of Prophet. Not as good, and yes, I did just mention Prophet. Get over it, guys. Anyways, it's just surprising that Ado was released. He was a star player, and as the statement says, that they were released from their contracts. So that kind of leads me to believe that these guys were all under contract at the time, and the Shanghai Dragons just decided to end it and get rid of them. I don't know why they would do this. Maybe they know exactly who they want to pick up, which is X6 Gaming, and we're going to talk about that. But still, even if you're picking up X6 Gaming, why get rid of Ado? He's such a strong player to have on your roster. Or at least, why not try to trade him for someone good? Because apparently Seoul Dynasty wanted him. You could have got maybe Wakid, Munchkin, who knows? Those are good players. It's just good to get something out of it rather than just getting rid of the guy. I could be wrong. Maybe his contract did run out. But from what the statement says, it doesn't seem like that. And also, a guy who was traded in the mid-season, usually they have a year contract, not just half a year. So it's a weird situation. I'm not really sure, guys. All I know is Ado, really good player, probably shouldn't have been released for nothing. Oh, and actually, guys, so I just took a minute break to go to the bathroom. I checked my phone, and it seems like Ado did say something on Twitter, and it was translated by Gadam-chun. This is what he said. "It's a shame. I really grew to love everyone over a season. I wish I had known this was how it would end. Only regrets. Still, I had fun. Hard fought, everyone." Oh my god, this is actually crazy. Ado is making it seem like he was blindsided by the Shanghai Dragons and just completely released off his contract. And that kind of just leaves me speechless. Like, what? Why would that's the dumbest thing ever? He seems like he could be one of the best players in the league, one of the biggest gems ever, and they just straight up drop him, not trade, not sell, not try to mold into a better player. Like, what? Shanghai, your management, I don't know, man. I know I would release a lot of players too, but not Ado. Not like this. I wouldn't blindside him. This is just crazy. I don't know what else to say. I guess let's go ahead and move on now and talk a little bit about the 3 players they kept. And we'll go ahead and start off in the DPS role. We do have Dia, who I believe they should keep. Dia had a pretty good season considering the circumstances. Sure, he definitely had some bad games, but he also had his times where he really popped off and made it look like he could carry the Shanghai Dragons to their first victory. Fortunately, that never did happen, but his Widowmaker was great. He was pretty good at hit scan, and he could even flex onto the Tracer and look pretty decent at times. Out of all the Chinese players, he is the only one I would have kept, and I definitely would have kept him. And now moving on to the off tank, we have Geguri. I definitely think it's okay to keep Geguri. She didn't play terribly bad. She looked pretty decent. And for a team that never won, I guess it's worth keeping her and giving her another chance. And the fact that, I'm not going to lie, the PR for having the first female on your team and the fact that she's pretty good is definitely something you don't want to give up right away. Because Shanghai Dragons did have a big fan base for the fact that they never won. And then also the fact that they did have Geguri. They're one of the most popular teams in the league for sure. Anyways, yeah, I would have kept Geguri. Let's now move on to Fearless in the main tank role, who once again was pretty decent. He didn't show that he was amazing like Ado, but he was still pretty okay. Was a huge improvement over Roshan. It seemed like he was better at making decisions, and obviously having the protection of Geguri really helped him too. And I think Geguri and Fearless combined in the next season could be really good. Anyways, that's it for the players and who they dropped, who they kept. Let's go ahead and move on now and talk a little bit about X6 Gaming, because I think it is possible that Shanghai Dragons would go out and try to pick up their coaches and players. At least that's what makes sense, because they did get rid of Ado. They must be bringing on some star DPS players. And X6 Gaming definitely has some really good DPS players, and also Shanghai Dragons did get rid of their coaches. So this is what Shanghai tweeted about their coaches earlier today. The Shanghai Dragons has released Coach Kong NAI8 from their contracts with the team. The entire Shanghai Dragons crew thank you for your dedications and contributions throughout the first season of the Overwatch League. We wish both of you the best of luck in your next adventure, Heart. So there we go, guys. 2 of their coaches gone. And the fact that Shanghai Dragons did work with X6 Gaming's coaches means they have a line of connection. And who would be the first guys to go to? Of course, one of the top Korean teams in Contenders Korea, who have had major success. They did win the first season of Korea Contenders, and they did pretty good in the second season as well. As mentioned, they do have some top tier players, so I could definitely see this happening, especially with all the tweets coming out saying that all these Korea Contenders players are going to get picked up. Maybe it's not going to be X6, maybe it's 7, maybe it's Hongdu, maybe it's Runaway, who knows, but they're going to send some money out. They did get rid of all their Chinese players basically besides Dia, so I doubt they're going to try to pick up more Chinese. It's probably going to be Korean guys, and that's going to be it for the video. Be sure to leave a comment down below letting me know what you think about all this crazy news. Do you think Shanghai should have released all these players, specifically Ado? What is your opinion on that? And if you enjoyed it, drop a like and subscribe to my channel for more daily videos covering all the news. Turn post notifications on. You'll never miss a video, and that's going to be it. I'll see you guys later. Peace.